Hi, good day. Welcome to another episode of The Warrior Story. With me here in the studio is our regular host, which is coming in as our guest today as he takes us on his experiences and journey as a sickle cell warrior. Let's make welcome Mr.
Aaron Linus. Thank you very much, Mr. Moses. I'm excited to be seated here as a guest, and I'd love to also share my story, even though I wouldn't want to go into details, but I'm definitely going to do as much as I can to see how I can share and answer your questions to inspire as many that are willing to be inspired.
Once again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
As we start, I would like you to take us through your personal experience growing up with sickle cell. I want to know how did it affect your childhood and your adolescence?
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, personal experience growing up as a sickle cell child. I don't know the right statement or right word to capitalize it into, but of course, I didn't know I was a sickle cell child until secondary school, my SS3 to my university 100 level thereabouts. Yeah, and from the story, my mom, when I asked, she said I was diagnosed of sickle cell at age 2, before age 2, a year plus thereabouts. So I didn't really, I can't remember for sure. Oh, when I was really, really small, I was always in this pain or in this crisis or in this episode. Even though there were times I fell ill or I took ill, but I didn't know it was boiled down to sickle cell. But in secondary school, I noticed my parents would always limit me from playing with my mates. My parents would always say, avoid rain, even though I like playing inside the rain. My parents would always tell me not to travel. And even when I take injections from the hospital, like sometimes I leave classes to injections, I leave classes to the hospital, and I wasn't comfortable until when I started doing research myself, got admission, and I started browsing and asking questions. There was time I had to go and meet the family doctor, and I asked, "What really is this?" But he wasn't open enough. So I discovered that it was called sickle cell, and then I asked, "Okay, what is sickle cell?" And then I discovered, "Oh, this is what sickle cell is. When your cell is like this, and you are not like every other person." So how can sickle cell come about? Is when both parents, of course, are not their genotype are not compatible. So that means my mom must be AS and my dad may be AA, or my dad AS and my mom AA. That was the picture I was having then. Until I went to my doctor and he explained that both parents must definitely be AS to have sickle cell. So I now had to understand better that this is what sickle cell is and that's how it comes about. But in my university days, it affected me more because then I was of age. I could relate to things. When I want to do things I love doing, you see me, I'll just fall sick. Sometimes I just have this pain that will make me not show up in a gathering. Let's say we have to meet somewhere or have a rehearsal or a meeting, and I will wake up with pain, and unfortunately, I won't show up. And I was not really happy about it. I couldn't take trips that my mates were taking. I couldn't go for excursion. I couldn't just take any water. I couldn't just sleep anywhere. It was abnormal. It was absurd. And I hated myself. I hated my parents, yes. I hated God at some point. Like, why would I be different? A child with so much skill, a child that has a lot to offer. So why this limitation? So it has affected me in virtually all aspects of my life: relationship, decision making, choices, where to live, the kind of job to take, the kind of trips to go on, the kind of people to keep as your friend. I lost some friends along the line, even when I had to come out, because it took me 29 years before I could accept that I'm a sickle cell warrior. And then I had to now come out to the public using my social media that, oh, I'm a sickle cell warrior and I want to come out of my shell. Because most other sickle cell warriors would always want to hide behind the curtains. So it's been a lot for me.
Hearing you talk about these things. It's really been a lot, and from what I can pick from your story, it shows that you've had like a challenging journey up until 29. Because you pointed that it was after 29 that you had to accept these challenges, and we would like to know. We want you to share with our audience. We know sickle cell comes with a lot of challenges. So, what are some of the major challenges major crises that you've had to face in your journey of sickle cell, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, first of all, sickle cell is something. What separates me from an AA person is the fact that some of my cells now, my cells are supposed to be in donut shape, but I'm having them in half moon shape. That is the number one knowledge I would like people to go home with. Now, the AA genotype person, the AS genotype person have the round or full donut shape cell, while the SSSC, AC, we have the half moon shape, that's the crescent shape cell. Now, our cell does not carry enough oxygen into the body. So sometimes when we do strenuous activities, you see that we are gasping, we're out of energy, we're out of strength. And that's why people, most times, if I generally classify sickle cell persons as sicklers, or they look them as people that want to die the next minute. In fact, in secondary school, some of my friends do mock me when we go for fellowship meetings or we are playing, let's say, ball or basketball now during break period. Don't play with this person, or no play with this person, or if you touch a small now, you go fall. So I had this stigma growing up that I'm feeble and I'm not supposed to do things that my mates are doing. When you see people going for swimming sessions, maybe going for football session, I do all this camp, Easter youth camp, and then this game period. Like, I always have this fear attempting it, because when the crisis comes like this, oh my word, it's like my whole world is crumbling. The pains are every part of my joint. Anywhere you know that there's cell in your body, which obviously we have cells in all parts of our body, the pain is actually happening there. And it could start little, as tiny as just your finger. It could start maybe on your toe, it could start on your knee, and gradually just keep spreading like a wildfire. It keeps spreading the 2 legs, your hand, your shoulder, your back, your chest. And if you're actually in a place maybe where you can't get help, it embarrasses you immediately. And then people start looking at you like, maybe this one is possessed. Some people call it agenu. Some people call it so many names that they give it. So I grew up with the stigma, and it was really, really demoralizing for me. At some point, it made me timid. Yeah, I missed my friends at some point. And then part of the major crisis I had, one very outstanding crisis I had growing up, was when I had to leave school. I had to defer a full session. I was operated on perforated typhoid and ruptured appendix. I was in my final year, 100 level. I was writing my project already as at then. And I was in my chapter 2 writing chapter 3. A project topic had been approved. I'd written CA, and I just woke up with this stomach ache. And I'm this child who would be sick here while we are talking. And I won't let you know that I'm having crisis. I would always want to talk it in. Because I grew up being an independent child. I grew up not knowing how to share my pain. I grew up not knowing how to tell people this is how I'm feeling or what I am feeling, just because I didn't want to be looked at differently. I didn't want to be seen as that weak child. I didn't want to be seen as that feeble child. A lot of people told my mom that this boy is going to die even before he finishes secondary school. So it's one thing that also kept me going. So I grew up being timid, and when I'm having crisis amidst people, I just find the way to just disappear from the scene to go take care of myself. So some of these crises come just heavily, and it embarrasses you, of course, openly. Some of these crises gives you sign. So when you pay attention, you quickly have to disappear and go get attention. So I had stomach ache, and I was managing this stomach ache for days, 4 days. My sister was in the same school with me. She didn't know I was having stomach crisis for more than 3 days. I would go for lectures, the ones I could. It got to a point I wasn't leaving my room. I bring buckets into my room, and I urinate in my bucket in the room because I couldn't leave my room those periods. And just to make it short, I left school, came home, went to the hospital, and I was referred from a private hospital to a general hospital, Aminu Kano. That's Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital. That was the first time I came in contact with AKTH, and I was diagnosed with perforated typhoid and ruptured appendix. And I was instantly told, in fact, when we met the doctor that first day, I was having mineral, and the doctor said, "Madam," told my mom, "collect this drink from this boy. He should not take anything for now," because my stomach was protruding at some point. So they didn't want anything They needed to be sure what was wrong. When they did their test and all of that, I was prepared for the theater. And even the surgeon had to bring, the doctors had to bring to my dad to sign 50-50. If this boy survive, you are lucky. If he doesn't, then you can't blame anybody.
Talking about your experiences in school, how you had perforated typhoid. I've been hearing my sis. I was with my sister. My dad had to sign a consent form, and in all of this talks about like family, talks about like relationship with friends. We would like to know, how has sickle cell impacted your relationship with both family and friends, either positively or negatively?
Um, Speaking on the impact as a sickle cell warrior, there have been negative and positive impact of it. Of course, personal, there are negative experiences, a lot of them, but growing to a level where I have come to understand um, myself, I've come to terms with what I've grown up to be, or I happen to see myself as, not even what just as what the doctor has written about me, but I've come to know that God just wants to glorify Himself in my life. Yeah, it's not about have you accepted being a sickle cell? Have you accepted to die with sickle cell? I have some friends who have met me and said, "So this thing that the way I see you preaching about sickle cell, talking about sickle cell on social media, is it that you have given up on God? Don't you know that God can change genotype?" Yes, of course God can, and I
People legit say
believe.
that.
Yes, people tell me that. So I know you to be a very strong and spiritual brother. So why are you preaching sickle cell? Are you not supposed to believe that God can change your genotype? I do believe God, but I've also come to understand that God allows some things to go on in our lives
Yes.
because He wants to glorify Himself
Oh, yes.
in our lives. So, talking about negative impact, I lost some friends, and it was really terrible. Like, there were some friends I was all out for, some persons that had given my energy and 100%, not because I was expecting that same energy in return, but just because I believed we could build better things together. I believe that we could achieve more together. But when I came out 29, like I said earlier, some of them were not proud of me. Some were not proud to even post my content. Some were not proud to associate with me. Some were not proud to walk on the streets with me. Some even thought I was going to drop dead anytime, since I've made it known. So I'll be dying anytime soon. Maybe that's why I made it known. So negatively, that's one. I've also, there's a table I don't want to shake because we might be here the whole day.
Shake
Like how I've been in and out of jobs. You get a job with a very good and promising organization. Your potentials is everything like what they need. You are welcomed and you start working with this organization. And then when they discover that, oh, you have this health challenge, or you're always in and out of your seats as whatever position you occupy, they look for a way to just frustrate you. So you either leave the job or they just push you out outrightly. So you get another one and the same story. So I had to, like, of course I'm skilled. So do I have to work for somebody to make my own money? And that is where I bet KCC Empire, the Creative Cleaners Empire, where we do everything events.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I would like to pause you here. Talking about frustrations from organizations, and you mentioned something that is so striking, that, oh, I'm skilled. You have like a robust profile. You have like a robust profile. You are a singer,
Yeah.
you dance,
Of course.
you write, you are a teacher, you are an exceptional baker, and currently you manage events like an event planner.
Yes.
I want to know, despite sickle cell challenge, how do you what is the motivation that drives you? What actually keeps you going to actually achieve your goals despite all of these challenges?
Yeah, one major motivation is, first of all, as a warrior, is acceptance. Embracing your pain.
Like, this is me.
Yeah, this is me. So embrace it, take it. So it can't come as a stigma from anybody once you embrace it.
Wow.
Once you embrace the shit, you embrace the pain. Whoever throws it at you, of course, you are used to it. It doesn't hit again. Then another thing that motivates me is there's this narrative about sickle cell persons. They must die. They will die. They can't achieve much. They don't live long. And then my mom told me her friends told her this child will definitely die before finishing secondary school. This is me 30 and beyond. In
Wow,
fact,
that's
32
great.
to be
I should
precise.
love
So 32 to be precise, and I am still winning. I'm still achieving. And I
Interesting.
still have a lot of things to invent, to create, to explore. You get, so these two things are one are major motivation for me. One other motivation is I know that if there's a man to pray, there's a God to answer.
Oh,
Yeah, so
yes.
I just trust him too much to just know that nothing is going to happen to me.
That's
He is
great.
not an author of confusion. He
Interesting.
does not do things mistakenly. He didn't create the world by mistake or by chance. He knew before he created it. So these
That's
like some
great.
motivations for me.
You mentioned that you are 32, and there's this narrative that people try to push that as a sickle cell warrior, you cannot live beyond 18, at most 20. And this is you right here in the studio with us at 32, hale and hearty. We would like you to share with our audience what are your coping mechanisms, how do you prioritize self care and healthy living, and get to balance it with the so many things that you do.
Yes, growing up too, I had or I used to have the fear of am I going to live up to 20? After secondary school, are you sure I'm not going to die? What's the point of even going to school?
It's that
When,
bad.
yeah, 200 level, I even had another major crisis that led to, I was supposed to defer, but I was not asked, do you want to defer? Do you want to write your exams? I insisted on it. Took me a long time to decide, but I decided to write my exams. And I wrote all my exams that year from the clinic. I was partially
From the
paralyzed.
clinic.
Yes, from the school clinic. So
Wow.
I was partially paralyzed then. I couldn't use my leg. So the ambulance comes, pick me from the hospital to the ICT when we're doing the GSTs. And you know how GSTs can be. You see students everywhere outside.
Crowded.
So you see one or two of my friends, they will just help me and I walk into the ICT. My hands, I couldn't actually hold anything firm.
Oh my
So
God.
once I read the question and it's timed, once I read the question, I'll just tell the staff that was sitting next to me A, he will help me click A. I will read and I will say B, he will click. That was how I wrote that
You were
exam.
that determined to write the
Yes, to
exam.
write the exams. And I don't know how I passed that very course.
my
And
God.
then the theory part, I was in the clinic, the invigilator will come in and maybe a level coordinator and also like another person, three of them, they'll just be standing there and I'll be writing my exams. In fact, when I'm supposed to take my night medication, like a painkiller, opioids, that's what we call it, to make me sleep well and abstain or avoid from those pains. But I will tell the nurses, please don't administer tonight's own. I have 8 a.m. paper. So I wouldn't want to oversleep. I want to read in the night at
Just
least to
get
get
awake.
something. And I will be absorbing this pain. I'm telling you, it's not easy to. But I will chase this pain. I will get any means of distraction because distraction mechanism to works for me. And then that was how I wrote the exams. About 11 to 11, 13 courses, I came out with two carryovers on that 200 level. So the experience were actually tough. Then talking about coping mechanisms for me, I would advise every warrior because this works for me, and I believe it should work for you, even though not all should work or would work for you. But one of my coping mechanism is positivity. Like I'm always positive. Anything I do, I
love
always
that.
yes, I always think the brighter part of it. Even though there's the bad side, yes, but I'm always focusing on the brighter parts.
Brighter side.
Yes, I look okay. I could do better here. I could succeed here. I could be this here. That's one. Then I didn't like taking water around, even though I know water is good for warriors. Yes. But I grew up to understand that if you must live well and live long, you need to always stay hydrated. So if you come to my kitchen, I have all manner of water cans. So if I'm going for an event that will keep me 5 hours beyond,
There's a water can
there's
for
a
that.
water can for it, a very big one. If I'm going to work and I'm going to spend these hours, there's a water can. If I'm going for a fancy program where I'm going to be all out, there's a water can that suits my personality in that program. So if I'm going for a place that I'm not going to so much show, there's a water can for that. Then at some point in school, I packed all my supplements and I was angry at God and I burnt them. I say because our supplements as sickle cell warriors, you must take your folic acid and paludrin every day.
Like every single day.
Every single day of your entire life on earth. You must take one a day, folic acid and paludrin. And when I have crisis, my doctors, the first thing is, do you take your medications? I'm like, doctors, truth be told, I don't lie to my doctors. I always tell them what happened, what led to the crisis, because it helps them figure out the solution. Personally, my doctors like me because once they ask what is the trigger, I tell them. So if it's my fault, they know. If it's not my fault, they know. So they ask her, do you take a medication? Like, doctor, I've stopped for like a month or for like a week or two. And that period in school, I burnt them. And like, if this is what is going to keep me alive, let me die without it.
Oh my God.
If God cannot sustain me, let me die. So then I didn't have the understanding of these are just supplements to boost your blood.
And help you fight.
Folic acid helps your blood to rebuild because sickle cell warriors have breakdown of cells and breakdown of blood every minute, every day. If I lift this water and I insert energy in lifting it, there are cells that are breaking down for doing that. Every crisis breaks down cells. So you need folic acid to rebuild crisis breakdown cells. Yeah. So you need this your folic acid supplements to rebuild them.
Wow.
You need your paludrin to help you fight chances of malaria. It keeps you off having malaria because malaria is a trigger to crisis. So when I got to understand all of this, I started being religious with my medication.
Interesting.
So it's a mechanism that has worked for me. Taking my medication often. So if I'm going for a job outside Kanu, I have my medications with me. I have my water can with me. As I'm coming to your house for that job, I'm telling you these are the things I would need to cope in this environment.
Wow.
I don't say, how would my client see me? My client will see me weak. My client will see me this. If you're not comfortable me doing your job as a sickle cell warrior, then you can give it to someone else. So that these are some of the mechanisms that have worked for me. And
have you had clients that actually turned down to say, oh, I'm not comfortable working with you?
Yes, I've had clients who didn't know I was a warrior all along, but when they discovered, they had to reduce the level of commitment to the brand. That's it. And I've had clients too who like, oh, you've been this and you do all the beautiful things you do in your strength, in your glory, and like they want to engage me more. And they'll say, just be careful. If you need more hands, make sure you get more hands. And they just understand.
Interesting.
They just understand.
Hearing you talk, you have like a truckload of experience as regards sickle cell. You have like an interesting story. You have been through a lot, and I make bold to say that when you talk, everybody should listen. Once it comes to sickle cell, when you talk, we are forced to listen because you are forced like to reckon with.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, what advice do you have for somebody that is just newly diagnosed of sickle cell? Because I know of someone that just found out that her child is a sickle cell warrior. So what advice do you have for somebody that is just diagnosed of sickle cell, either as a warrior or as a caregiver?
Okay, as a warrior, child, adults, I will always preach you need to accept yourself. What has happened has happened. If we all have the power or chances to rewind the hands of time, even you not being a sickle cell, there are a lot of things you'd want to go back to correct or change. Some people want to come back taller, come back fatter, shorter, and all of that. So it has happened, it has happened. Embrace it and ask yourself. The question is, so what next? Moving from here, what next as a warrior? As a caregiver, it could be your mistake. It could be a one-night stand that led to it. It could be you knew that this guy is actually not compatible with you, and then you decided to still go into marriage.
For love.
Yes, for love or for whatsoever reason. Now, you just have to chase the challenges it comes with. It is your responsibility. If you want to chicken out as a caregiver, it means you brought a child that will suffer all his life, and that child will live to blame you, and you will have the regret for your entire life. So embrace it. Either as a caregiver, as a warrior, embrace it, and then do the needful. Get friends, get circles, working group that supports people living with sickle cell, and also you as a caregiver.
Interesting. As a caregiver, one major thing that stood out for me from what
so 32 to be precise, and
I should start with final words, Abi.
Generally, 3, 2, 1, and answer.
Okay, listening to you, it has really been like insightful. I've learned so much about sickle cell, and you have like, I must say, you have like quite an insightful experience. We want to know any final words.
My final word first is to everyone listening out there. You don't know your genotype or you are not sure. Please, I beg you today, go and know your genotype.
Oh yes.
Whether you are due for marriage or not, you are in a relationship or not, whatever level, and you don't know your genotype, please go and know your genotype.
Love is not enough.
As for my story, it was back then not this vast. Information or message about sickle cell was not this everywhere. But today we have it on every social media platform.
Yes.
So please don't give that excuse that you didn't know how it happened. So please go and know your genotype before settling down with that partner. And if you think you are settling with that partner for love and you know that your genotype are not compatible, then you are making the biggest mistake of your life. Money won't take it away. Whatever you do will not take it away. You just need to play your cards right. My warriors, I love you so much. Be strong for yourself. You are the only one that can do it better than any other person. Embrace yourself, accept what has come. It has happened, it has happened. Embrace it and move on. Keep winning. And then for my caregivers, please hold on a little longer for these warriors. We know we can be a handful. Some days we are tiring, some days we are just not interested in some of the things you do. But we need you to be strong for us and keep being that lovely caregiver that you have always been. I love you all so much.
Be strong for us and be a caregiver with love. Thank you for listening in. Bye for now.